Hi everyone, my name is Queenie Love and I am the host and owner of this particular um, domain, the relationship zone. So let me go ahead and first tell you that this domain is changing. We are pivoting to a different podcast, and so the name is going to be changing. So you will hear me now say the relationship zone, but if you hang out with me longer, you'll likely hear me when I change it over as well. So just want to kind of put that out there just in case you are new to this channel, or if you're used to this channel or used to some of the other things I do on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Just know that the relationship zone is going away officially, and but for now we're here. So today I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey. Some of you may or may not know that I have been, or I was diagnosed with having fibroids. And just to give you a little bit of backstory, I'd already had fibroids for some time. If you do not know what fibroids are, I would encourage you to look those up. However, I'll just give you a little bit of a description. It is where women oftentimes will have tumors, non-cancerous. Sometimes they can be malignant, but you just don't see that as often. But benign tumors that grow in the uterus, on or around the uterus, and they can give us a lot of problems. So for me, in this video today, I'll just be telling you kind of some of my symptoms in the very beginning, and I do have a few other videos that I have been preparing that really breaks down my journey with fibroids and all the way up to my surgery. So about 20 years ago, I first was diagnosed with fibroids. I had, how did I find out that I had fibroids, if you're wondering? I had extremely heavy cycles, but of course, a heavy cycle is relative, right? You don't always know what that means when you can't see what a person is talking about when they say heavy cycle. But for me, it interrupted my life, although I managed every single month would be a challenge. I had to plan everything out, plan my clothes, plan if I'm going to work. I even had to plan around the types of jobs that I took. I was a hairstylist for a very long time, and sometimes during my cycle, I'd hate going to work, hate sitting down, hate standing up, because there was always this gush or flow of blood that would just come, and I would always have to change quickly or change my clothes or bring a change of clothes. Hope I don't mess up the seat of my pants. Hope I don't mess up my car. Hope I don't mess up your car. Hope, this was my life. So heavy cycle, meaning that's the type of life I was living. It wasn't just go get a pack of Always or now Honey Pot. And you could. It was not that at all. It was like, okay, can you go on a date? No. Plan after your cycle before you go on a date. Going to church. Don't wear the green dress. Make sure you wear a black dress. Going to work. Don't let me have too many clients today because I need to be able to go back and forth to the bathroom. How embarrassing is that, right? So that's what I mean when I say heavy. I also mean, just to put a little bit more context, I would definitely have to buy 2 and 3 packs of pads. Sometimes women will wear 2 pads. Sometimes women will wear a pad and a tampon and have to change, maybe every hour or twice an hour. So that was my life, right? But I was an avid runner. I watched what I ate. I became vegan. I became alkaline vegan. I did it all for a very, very long time. And sure, it impacted and it changed probably a little bit of how my flow was. The pain was not there like some people share, but the cramping was there, the clots were there. Overnight bleeding was crazy first 2 days. Seemed like nothing would help. So I go to the doctor and they were like, you have fibroids. So how do you know? Well, they did an exam. They did a pelvic exam, They touched my belly, gave me my pap smear. I always had normal pap smears to come back, but they still checked and could feel that, doctors can just feel the lumpy and the bumpiness and the swollen, stretched out uterus. Now, I have 3 children. I'd had 3 births. Um, so, me having a stretched out uterus to me made perfect sense. But the doctors would notice that there were like masses. So it's difficult for you to kind of feel it until it's really, really big. But a doctor, because of the way they are trained to examine and know exactly what they're looking for, um, they can tell you that something's going on. So after they did my physical exam, they sent me over to get a sonogram. Yeah, I think I had to get a sonogram. But anyway, they wanted to just kind of look vaginally inside of my tummy and also outside. So this is where they put the jelly on. The radiologist put the little device on, and they can kind of look as if you're getting an ultrasound for your children. Like when you're pregnant, they do the same thing. So ultrasound, sonogram. So they put the jelly on, they go on top of the belly, they're focusing on and around the uterus. Inside, they're doing the same thing with a different scope. They're looking, taking all these pictures. Once they get all that back, your doctor looks at it and says, okay, we see a mass or a few masses or this. If it calls for warning, they'll go a little further and they'll do like biopsies and send off because they want to make sure it's not cancer. Fibroids are so normal right now that I think doctors just kind of automatically know when it's a fibroid. They just see it and they're like, yep. So for me, I was super active, but I was anemic. So that was another indicator. I was anemic, heavy period. They actually saw the fibroids. So there's that. So it wasn't like, sorry, I was going to put my glasses on, but I don't need them. It wasn't like they were guessing. They knew, right? So all the signs were there, but I was super, super anemic for 20 plus years. And you may ask, why did I choose to wait so long to do something about it? Well, you know what? Having fibroids, it's, and when you hear the options, it's kind of a big deal. So it's not easy. I've had a super active lifestyle. And so getting diagnosed with fibroids and then having to figure out what treatment was a big deal. I had children that were super active. I had a marriage that I was super active in. I had a company that I was running, my small business, which was a hair salon. Then I had other responsibilities that really called for me to be up. My spouse was in the military. We went through a separation and divorce. My next relationship, that person also was in the military some years later. It was just very hard to stop my life and be like, okay, let's have surgery to do something about these. I can manage them with diet and exercise, or so I thought. So fast forward, each year I get my checkup and fibroids still presenting. They're still there. Not like they're going away. Listen, you will hear some people say that you can have treatments to, like holistic treatment to make them go away. I'm not here to say you can or cannot. I'm just saying that for me, that did not work. I tried. So if it works for you, then that's great. Go the route that works for you at the age that you are. For me, the older I got, the more challenging it became to actually have an alternative. But there were other options. So it was like embolism. No, I'm saying that wrong. Embolization or something like that. Ablation. Please go Google this. I have a little bit of fog because I'm on some medication. But anyway, ablation, where they kind of go inside and cauterize and use like a little burning thing or like a cryotherapy. I'm only telling you this because someone else told me. The research is here. My computer's up. I could easily tell you, but look up the options, right? So they gave me different options to remove these things. The problem again was I was afraid. I didn't know what that looked like. I was not well educated on what it looks like. And my life was super busy in my late 20s and 30s because this is how old I was at the time. And I just was like, maybe I'll go into menopause. And that's kind of what I hear a lot of people think, that, hey, we'll just go into menopause, right? Well, that works for some. That did not work for me. My family, women in my family, didn't go into menopause until they were well in their 50s. Well, at that time, I'm in my 30s. And I'm like, dang, like, can I make it that long? My cycle was only getting worse. It was becoming very unpredictable. And so fast forward 2020, 2021, well, 2019, I go and I have another ultrasound for my fibroids, just to kind of see where they are. So we do that. The doctor was like, you know, what are you considering? What are you thinking about? They kept me abreast of the fact they were changing. And by this time, my uterus was protruding differently. I mean, I had a little bit of a belly anyway, but it had changed. And it started to like firm up in a spot. So I go to the doctor and I'm like, hey, like the bottom of my tummy was hard when I would lay down. Cycle still really bad. Really, it was getting worse. But when I would lay down, I would feel like a mass, kind of like, now I can feel it versus the doctor. I could actually feel like this mass in the whole bottom of my tummy. My food pot was like hard. So I go to the doctor and I'm like, yo, I need to do something. And again, they're reminding me, well, you've had this for a while. They're only growing. They're getting bigger. So I do the ultrasound and they confirm they are definitely getting bigger. Well, then COVID happens. So when COVID happens, I'm like, dang, now no one's really going to the doctor, or at least you just can't just make a decision, right? To just go and be seen, and without the weirdness of COVID, right, being a thing. So during that time, and this is no lie, I'm not exaggerating at all, my fibroids went from maybe like 6 or maybe 10, let's just say 10 fibroids, small, various sizes, right? During COVID, they were growing so rapidly that almost daily I could touch my stomach and feel the mass growing. Now, I don't know if anyone else went through this or not. It could be just me, but I remember 2019, they measured them, and I have my measurements. And in another video, I will share my measurements just so I'm clear, because I want to make sure that you're getting this. But right now, I decided to just random video to kind of start this conversation about my fibroids journey with these things. But so 2020 comes. I literally, we're home all the time. I was working remote, so I'm home all the time. And I could feel these things like growing, or so I thought. So 2021, I started having an issue with, so again, go back. I'm an avid runner. I love running, love hiking, love getting out, love being active. Anyone knows me, I am like moving. I walk fast, I talk fast, I move fast, I cook fast. Everything's fast. I did hair fast. Everything is fast. And in 2020, everything went from fast to almost completely stopped. So I would get up in the morning to go do my run, and I realized that I could not lift my right leg. Typically, I stand up when I put my shoes on, right? I just, instead of sitting down like normal people, I stand and I like put my shoe on, I bend down, tie them up. But I noticed that my right leg, like the hip flexor, would hurt. And I couldn't quite get it to engage the way I could get my left one to engage. So that was weird. And it would be like a pain. And I started sitting down to put the shoe on. This continued. I noticed that I was sitting all the time working from home. So I was contributing everything to the fact I was sitting down. So I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. It's because I'm sitting down. That's why I'm hurting. Look, all my business is up here. Let me get this down. That's all my medical stuff, y'all. Don't be zooming in on my stuff. But anyway, so I started bending down and sitting down to put on my shoes. And I could feel this ball in the right hand, like the right side of my pelvic floor. Hip started hurting, right back, but right side of my back would hurt, my glute would hurt, and then this just continued to progress. Now I started going to the doctor like in 2023 for my back, for my hip. I went and got like a steroid shot in my back. All these things were happening all the while the pandemic is pandemicking. I had COVID in like early 2022, got sick, better. My fibroids are steady growing. So 2023, I've had all these back issues. Now I'm barely able to run, right? I got this growth that is in my stomach and I can feel it hard as a rock, protruding and pushing down on my vajayjay. That's a whole nother video. I will share what I discovered with that as well. Pushing up in my right, under my right rib, my side, back. And I'm like, wow, these things are getting like out of hand. I couldn't lose weight. Instead, I was just gaining weight. I felt full. Like, I just felt something was like taking over my body. So fast forward in 2023, latter part of 2023, I go into the doctor and I'm like, yo, this is, I got to do something. Like, I went into the clinic desperate. Like, I was so overwhelmed with the pain and the fact I would lay in my bed at night or early morning and this mass would be so large and protruding and it would ache. And I was sad and depressed about it. Like, I hid it well because I was looking good, all dressed and getting it together, and I'm still doing my thing. But I was sad and depressed, and I could not run. I couldn't work out. It felt senseless to do any ab work. So I go to the doctor, and I'm like, I need to see my therapist, and I need to see a gynecologist, and I need to know what my options are. And when I got into the doctor's office and they, this was mid 2023, they did another ultrasound. They compared the ultrasound to the one I'd had the last time, which was like a couple years prior. And they were like, they have tripled in size. And they're growing on top of each other. Now, I didn't really know what that meant, right? Because, again, we don't talk about this enough, and we definitely don't share pictures and swap out pictures, and maybe it's gross to some people, but sometimes you need to really see what someone is describing or what someone is talking about, what someone's going through, so that you really get the full understanding of, this is not like, just a pimple. They were like grapes growing on top of each other. But not grape size. They were weirdly shaped and they were super intrusive on my body, and they were causing my body to change, not just internally, but outwardly. And so the doctor gives me another option, and they say, with everything that you got going on, hysterectomy is what's going to be best. And mind you, I had a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion. So I'm going to stop here because I have more videos to take you a little bit further. I just want to say to you, if you're dealing with fibroids and you're younger, like I was when I first got diagnosed, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying this. It doesn't always get better with time. And you may not go into menopause as early as you hope so that you can cut the blood supply off to these little monsters, right? If you already have your children, all these things are in place. Really think about your health at the time and what you want your quality of life to look like. Honestly, there was no perfect answer for me, but I needed to do something. And honestly, I should have done it a little bit earlier now that I look back. But unfortunately, I felt that my responsibilities took precedence over my own personal health. And I wish I wouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. You know, I had a family to support, and they needed me. And I felt that my responsibilities needed me to be healthy and strong, and I would get to my fibroids later. Well, they got to me first. So if you are thinking, you're watching this video and you're thinking about doing something, do it. Consult with your doctor. Really talk to them. There are no crazy questions. There are no bad questions. You're not overreacting. You're not being extra. You're not making a big deal out of nothing. It is something. It is major. It's a huge life decision, and it will impact your life. And if you wait like I did, you run the risk of them growing and growing. And I still don't know why mine grew to the point that they did, but they did. So I have more to share about that. So don't wait like I did. Make your decision while you're strong, healthy, and you can make adjustments in your life. Build your support. Educate people on what you're going through. And those that care, trust me, will care to listen to you. But fibroids are very painful. They are a complete pain in the ass. And I wish there was more study. I wish there was better treatment. I wish there were more options. I wish we understood where they come from and how to prevent them, but we don't. We only assume, we guess, and we dabble in holistic, care and Western medicine, and we're just trying to figure it out, but I think we're just scratching the surface. So if you have fibroids, educate yourself as much as you can. I got into Reddit groups and Quora groups and all these different groups just to get the education. But even with that, some things will apply to you and some things will not. Some things will scare you to death and some things will empower you. But have a plan, make a plan for your life and your health, because fibroids are game changers. And I wish I would have done something earlier, but I did not. So here I am now, and I'm sharing my journey with fibroids and having fibroids, hoping to help someone. So in this video, I just wanted to share the journey, the backstory of how this all came to be. Part 2, I will share my journey to making a decision to have my fibroids removed and what that looked like for me. So thank you so much for listening. Again, my name is Queenie Love. If you enjoyed this is not my typical conversation, but here at the Relationship Zone, I've never been afraid to tackle tough, uncomfortable, uneasy conversations and topics. So this is no different. It's just me being vulnerable and telling you about my journey right now. So if you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit like, subscribe. More to come on this channel and more to come regarding this journey. And I just hope that it helps someone. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section And part 2 video will be dropping very, very soon. So make sure you subscribe and watch out for part 2 next time. Until then, bye y'all.